Alrighty, it says I'm live, so I hope everybody can hear me. Let me just fill my water up a little bit more. Apologies up front that I might sound a little bit off. My nose is blocked and I might cough a lot. But hopefully we'll still get through it with lots of water and making sure, keep things lubricated, I guess. All right. It's been a while since I last streamed, but we'll see if we can get some fun things done tonight. I've been working a lot during this weekend and the end of last week, building up some new logic around XR tools, and specifically the spiritual successor for XR tools. Why is that not resizing? I guess I made that maybe a little bit too big. Oh, that is... I'm on maximum size. Hold on, guys. I'm just trying to mess around with these settings to make things a bit more readable. There we go. Is it now going to fit on screen? Now it does fit on screen. Look at that. Okay. So I can't make my font size that large. That's a bit of a shame. I was hoping that that would be good. Anyway, yes, as I was saying, I am working on a successor to... hey, why is that not in there? I thought I... Ooh, that's why. Let's do this. Now it's suddenly magically pop up. There we go. XR Tools 2. Yay! Custom software bias for shapes not supported when using... I don't think I'm using the bias at all, so that should be all right. All right. So yeah, I am working on a new version of XR Tools. It's far from ready, but I made some cool things during the week, and I just wanted to play around with it and see if I can get some, some of the traditional logic that I've done before working with this new approach and see how that goes. That is not going all the way to the end of my screen. Now it is. Good. So yeah, we're using a relatively new 4.4 development build. I think this is a master 2 days ago, probably. So that's one thing that we're going to be using. And the other thing is that we're going to be using my trusty old Quest. But we're going to be using it over SteamVR. So that's going to be interesting to see how well that works. Other than that, this is a completely blank project. So we're starting completely from scratch. And we're just going to see how far we get with this. And how good my memory is about all the new stuff that I build. And whether I'm going to make lots and lots and lots of mistakes. Probably later, but we'll see. So as always, the first thing that we always need to do is create a main scene to work in. Now with XR Tools, one of the choices that we've made is try to use inheritance a lot less than in XR Tools 1, but the startup part still does require inheritance. Well, if you want to use the staging system, that is. So I am going to start with our staging scene, and I'm going to go inherit that. There we go. So that brings up our loading screen. Not that we have a loading screen. Actually, I need to copy the image for that. I suddenly realize. Hold on. Let me just copy that from the other projects. Because we don't put a image there by default. Where aren't they? Should be here. Yeah, there's a splash screen. Just put it in here. Okay. So with that, we should be able to go to our loading scene. There we go. For some reason it didn't do that right away. So we got our logo that's spinning. That's pretty cool. But I need to go and put in a little splashy screen. So there we go. Boom. We have a splashy screen. This should be rendered in black when we start this up, and yeah, we got our main scene going. So we're going to save that as main scene. And we then need to go and load our default world in. So we need to start with a default world as well. So we need to create that here. No, we'll leave that the way that it is. So we're going to go to base. We're going to go and inherit that as well. And this guy, we're going to go and save. We're going to go and create a new folder called stages. And there, we're going to go and create a filler main stage. That is half of screen. And let's go and save that guy as main stage of the SCN. And there we go. Hey, Square Peg, how you going? Nice of you to join. So that's a default environment, but no, I don't like that default environment. Do I have another default environment that I can do? I might not have another default environment. Yeah. Well, what we're then going to do is we're just going to abuse this for a sec. And we're going to go and add an environment here. That should create that. So I'm going to go and save that as, I call that our default environment here. Doing good, can't sleep. Yeah, that's always nasty if you can't sleep. We have a very hot summer here at the moment, and that is definitely not helping me sleep. Okay, so let's go and load this. So we got our default environment there. So now we just grab a default environment from Godot. So I need to make sure that I actually create a default stage environment for that and default it out, because that was a bit of a surprise that we don't have that. But hey, we have new stuff now. Yeah, so that is just black, and that should be the default environment for our camera here. No, that's our XR2. So I think I've messed up my default environment here, because that one shouldn't be black. Yeah, so I messed up that resource. Oh well. My Discord invite is invalid. That's not good. That must be an old one then. That's gonna be a problem. Let's see, where's my Discord? And let's go. Where are we? Invite people. Add an invite link. I do not want a limit. Never. Alright, new link. I've seen that link before, so why was that being so annoying? Can I edit my description here? Yes, I can. Yeah, that is my old link. That's really stupid. I wonder where it got that from. I've been putting my old link there on there all the time. So yeah, that should be the new one. Hey, hello. I can see you, but I am going to close my Discord because that's going to be distraction during the stream. Anyway, thanks for letting me know that Square Peg. Order adapter from a PlayStation VR 2. Oh, that's really cool. Yeah, I'm so happy that Sony's done that. I still don't have a PSVR 2, but it's on my wish list. But I am definitely going to get the dongle as well and see how well that works. All right, so we have our staging screen. We have our main stage, which is not complete yet. This is not going to work yet. We need a little bit more. But let's go and select that so that becomes the stage that we will load. Okay. Main stage. So what else do we need as a bare minimum to make this work? Well, first we need to have a character body for our player. Yes, we are now no longer using a built-in object in Extra Tools. We are just using a stock standard character controller. So that could even be a character controller that you have existing for an existing non-VR game. Obviously, we're going to have a collision shape on that little guy. That is going to become a capsule. There we go. And I want to resize. I don't want it that big. I want it to be a little bit smaller. But now also I need that to be a little bit higher. There we go. Cool. However, we do obviously need our XR rig. So now we have a new folder here in Extra Tools called Player Rigs. And we have two player rigs. We have a static player rig and a dynamic player rig. So the static player rig is if you want to do vehicles, you know, flight simulators, racing cars, that sort of thing. That's a rig that's set up where wherever you place that rig, your head will start. And anytime that you reset your view, your head will return to there. And then the dynamic player rig is the one that works together with a character body. So we just add that on top of the character body. There we go. And that sets up all the XR bits. We are going to go and enable editable children, where we now have our camera, our neck, and our fade. So there's a fade there to make sure that if you try and move through a wall, you can't. It'll stop you from doing that. We also have a default left and right hand. We're actually not going to be using that one. Instead, and in this case, we're actually not going to drag something in from here. We're just going to go to plus. And we're going to search for the HR2 functions here. And what we're going to add in for now, if I can find it, is an XR2 collision hand. We actually need two of those. I'm going to rename that one to our left collision hand, and that one to our right collision hand. And those two guys we are going to be working with. So that's left. That's fine. I'm not going to worry too much about that yet. I'm not going to worry about those yet. And I'm going to leave those all at default. This one we do need to change because that needs to be our right hand. I also want to place those. And the nice thing about having everything larger is hopefully you guys can read what I'm doing. But the downside is I don't have a lot of space. Yeah, well, you know, it's the little things. So I'm just going to pre-position those. Again, they will be positioned by tracking. So whatever location I'm giving it here will not survive. But for editing, I kind of like having everything in place so we can now see our hands. There we go. Cool. Sweet. All right, that's our player. And I'm actually going to go, whoops. I'm going to go and save this guy. And we're going to create a new folder for that, player. And just player, there we go. So we're going to just go and save that as a separate scene. So that if we have additional levels, we can reuse a lot of that. I don't really have to set up anything else. Oh, we do need a movement. So in the extra tools, we should also have a direct movement. And if I add it to the dynamic rig itself, it's not going to care which hand it works with. I can put it under one of the hands, and then it will only react to input on those hands. Now, right now, it's going for the movement action primary. So that's our default action map primary. I'll stick with the default action map for now. I probably am going to clean that up. Maybe I'll do that right away. I actually want to clean this up right away. So I'm going to remove the controllers that I won't be using for now. So we're gonna be using a touch controller today. So I just want the touch controller in there. I don't have to worry about any of that. I'm gonna add the hand interaction. I'm gonna leave that in. And we are going to go and add in where are you? Not the HSE, the MSFT hand interaction. Because when we're using hand tracking, when we're not using our controllers, this will ensure that that stays working as well. So I'm going to set up both that one and that one. Simple controller we're going to keep in because OpenXR kind of likes that. So let's first go and clean this thing up a little bit. We're going to be using the normal floating point trigger input, so we're going to get rid of those. We're going to keep our grip, and also again we're just going to use the floating point input there. We're just going to do our primary. I don't care about click. I don't care about touching. Secondary, that's good as well. And I'm actually going to rename this to movement. Okay, let's actually save that before we lose it. And I'm actually going to then change our movement action to movement so that that makes more sense. We're going to remove our menu button, our select button. We don't care about any of those. I'm not using my AX buttons or BY buttons, so I'm going to take those out for now. I do not like having a default pose. I do not care about the aim pose or grip pose for this point in time. We're going to be using the palm pose as our main pose, so I'm going to need to make some changes for that in a minute. And we're going to leave our haptic there. So let's see that if all this is assigned as best as we can. So we got our palm pose. Here, obviously, we're missing things. The simple control is really not usable, so don't really care too much about it. Palm poses mixed here. We're not really going to be using that pose, but it's just a fallback. We've got our trigger coming in. We got our grip coming in. That's our movement. So that should all be pretty much set up by default. This should still be okay as well. But we do need to go and configure this guy. So we got our palm here as well. We got our palm. Select is a pinch. So we don't actually, because that's one of the things that I don't like about the MSFT hand interaction. With the normal hand interaction, we actually have an aim. Oh, I'm also on a pinch here. Why is my movement linked to pinch? That doesn't make any sense. I think that's a mistake. I thought I had an index one for that as well. Well, I'm not going to worry too much about that because there's not a whole lot that we can actually do with this. With this game, what we're doing here, because we're going to be able to move around and everything like that, we're probably going to not have a lot that works if we just purely do hand interaction. But we will see what we can set up just in case we're ever going to try and make this work. But for now, I'm just going to stick to those. So I have them, but we're going to be using the controls anyway. So this one's the important one. As long as this one is configured correctly, we should be good to go. Okay. So we got our movements set. I'm going to leave everything the same. So here, obviously, I do want to go and change this to palm pose. There we go. Same with this. Even though I'm not going to be using this, I'm actually thinking about removing these from my default rig, because there's not really a point to having the hands in the default rig if we're not always going to use them. But here for these two, I am going to go and make sure, oh, look at that. Palm pose is actually expected to be our fallback pose. So that's already good. I think with that, we have the basic of our player setup, and we don't really need to touch that right now. We're going to be doing some more with that in a little bit. Right now, if we would play this, our player would fall and keep falling and keep falling and keep falling. So we obviously need to have a floor. Well, for a floor, we're going to go and create a static body. I go and call that floor. We're going to give that a mesh instance so that we can see what's going on. And we're just going to make that a plane. Let's make it nice and big. And let's give that a material. I'm just going to use standard material for now, even though I don't really like standard materials. But for this, it's nice and quick. I have a nice little pattern for this. That's a bug that's gone in there. I hope someone fixes that. I want to make sure that this is some sort of shade of green. And I need to crank up my UV a little bit. There we go. We have a nice little round of squares to stand on. We do need, obviously, a collision shape for that as well. And we're just going to use a roll boundary for that. That's basically a flat plane that you can't fall through. All right, so in theory, we should now have a working system. So I'm just going to make sure that that is selected. And I'm going to go and run that. Actually, I'm not yet going to run that. I'm first going to make sure that this little guy has got Steam VR up and running. So I'm using Steam Link today. I have been using Steam Link a lot lately to do my testing. I actually really enjoy it. There we go. The only thing that I struggle with Steam Link is when I always take my headset off and then do some development and my headset goes to sleep. Oops. Steam VR just suddenly decides like, okay, I don't need to work anymore. And I need to cycle it through on the headset. It's annoying. But it's a small thing. Okay, so that should be up and running. That should mean that I should now be able to go and do that. And do that. And then, of course, that is going on the wrong place. Why wouldn't it? Now, that is going very slowly because I'm not wearing my headset. It actually throttles the FPS when you are not wearing the headset. Oh, and my trigger is not yet working. Interesting. So let's see why my trigger in my main environment doesn't work. Now, the other thing that I want to change before I do anything else is I want to make sure that our default size is actually a bit bigger. So it's slightly smaller than my stream size, but we'll see how that goes. Now, okay, so this is the trigger to continue. Trigger click. Okay, so that is actually working on the trigger click instead of on the trigger. Did I do anything there? Let's just double check. Whether it's always Boolean. And one thing that I did do in this is that I made it optionally work both with keyboard and with the XR controllers. Oh, why am I? Oh, that's because I'm going to hold button. Okay, so I need to go in here. I need to go and check my hold button logic, which is also on trigger click. Input has, input is. So I'm checking the input map for an action called activate action, or whatever we've set here. So that would be trigger click. So you can create that in your action map. In your input map in here, and then it would also react to that if that is available. Now we get that if true. Okay, so we need to add the trigger action in there. Let's not make too much trouble out of that. So next to the normal trigger float, which I want to really use for normal stuff, for this big bit, I do need a trigger click. Let's name that properly. Trigger click. There we go. That is then a Boolean. Don't care about you. I only pretty much care about this guy. I guess we don't have a separate input for that, so we should just be able to double assign that, and then we have both actions reacting to that input. And then I think these ones don't have triggers, so we couldn't even go past the loading screen if we're purely on hand tracking, but that's okay. That's not what we're doing today. All right. Oh, I of course need to make sure that this actually goes here. I hope that I don't forget that too often. I'm pretty sure that also my head's going to be in the way, which is really annoying. There we go. Now we can actually load into here. Okay, we're tracking that. I'm on the ground, but my head's not being tracked. So, okay. And my environment is not working, which is really, really interesting. So I forgot a few things. I think the first thing that we forgot is we actually need to nominate what the player origin is. So we're going to add enter children there. So now I can collect and select dynamic. I thought I had something that would automatically do that, but obviously I didn't. But that should now make that work properly again. But also, why is our world environment not working? So we've got sky as a background. I've got a sky here. Oh, because when that's not set up, my camera doesn't become current. That is why that's not working. So there is a little room for improvement there to make sure that just works automatically. But hey, this is all brand new stuff, so hello. There we go. Now my hands are in the right place. I am standing up. I can actually turn, move backwards and move forwards. Now here's another problem that I haven't solved yet is because of the way that we are doing our physics hands, when we move with the controller, the hands is sort of not following us very nicely. But hey, like I said, these are brand new things and we are still working on it. That said, all my hand movement are working. And what you can't see yet is that we can actually push things around. So let's dress up our little scene a little bit more. Gotta build these things like 100 times already. Actually, before we do anything else, I want to do one more other thing that that is new in Extra Tools 2, which is kind of cool. And for now, we're going to this folder called Construct. We have this this scene called X32 Construct. We're again going to inherit that scene. We're going to go and save that in our root, and we're going to call that just the construct scene. There we go. And we see that we have just a very simple setup here with two viewports, a VR sub viewport and a desktop viewport. And the first thing that we're going to be doing is we're going to add our main scene in here. There we go. That's all we need to do for that. And the second thing that we're going to do, and here I need to remember that does need to be a scene. I'm going to add in a spectator camera. There we go. And I'm going to go and move this thing around a bit. Boom, 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 boom. Don't really care where it is too much. The downside, though, is that I can't really see where this is in relation to here, so we're going to have to play around with that until we get it right. But anyway, we have our spectator camera in there. Yeah, I don't actually really care too much more about that right now. We just need it in there. We'll start working with that eventually. Okay, so we have that. That also means that I'm going to go back to my player scene, and I'm actually going to also add in a mesh instance here. That is going to be our stand-in for our head. We're going to give that a sphere. There we go. We're going to make this sphere a lot smaller. That should be, I don't know, how far down is our neck? -1, 1. Okay, I had expected that. Oh, because I also need to move that up by 1. That's why. Okay, let's first change the layers. So I have a spectator only layer here. So we want to remove it out of 1. But we want to make sure that this is only visible in the spectator camera. And there we go. We've got our nice little sphere there. Let's also give that a nice little color. Actually, I don't want that to be so many faces. It's not needed. Let's just stick with standard materials. Why not? Okay. I am a sucker for not knowing what a good skin color is. All right. That's a very red looking head, but it'll do. It'll do for what we want to do now. What's complaining in the debugger? Oh yeah, the normal left palm, right palm stuff. That can be ignored. Jolts is complaining a little bit, but I don't think that's a problem. Oh, and that one actually we can solve. And I should really do that in my my default construct. Well, it's being turned off anyway, but where is that hiding? Might be that one. I don't know. I need to double check that, but I'm not going to worry about those right now. Okay, so now we have this as a scene that has a separate view. What we see on the desktop, we have a our headset working through this. So how do we now set it up? Because we still want to use our normal main, and actually I also want to rename that. That's our main stage, and I really want to just rename that to main. That means that this can be main. This is just nitpicking, obviously. We can see that we have our our preview in there. That's kind of cool. Yeah, I'm gonna keep that to this. So we're actually gonna have that spectator camera working even in the initial load. There's a little bit more logic that I can put in there, but for now, I'm not gonna bother with that. Because I really only care about the spectator camera once the level is loaded. So you guys are going to have to bear with me that the background isn't going to be black. Whoop-de-doo. It's not really that much of a big problem. What I normally do is I actually react to the signals that are here. Is it on this one? No, it's on this one. So we got our show loading screen and our showing loaded screen and showing load screen. And I usually turn the spectator camera on and off that way and just show something else. The whole idea also is that with this desktop view is that you could do completely different things. So instead of having a spectator camera, you could have a completely 2D interface there that someone sitting behind the computer can use while someone else is using the headset. So think of keep talking and things don't, or what is it? Keep talking and we don't explode or something like that. Hi Yoga, how you going? So yeah, there's lots of opportunities that you can do with this. However, we now want to make sure that if we are on PC VR, we are loading that. So for that, we are going to go here. We need to make sure that the advanced settings is turned on. We're going to go for run, where we now see that our main scene is that. And what we're going to do is we're first going to add an option here for Android. We're going to add that. It will be down below here. I'm going to copy that guy over here. I'm going to change this guy to construct. So now we've said by default, we load our construct view. But if we deploy to a Quest or a Pico or anything else, our startup scene will be our main scene. So we don't get our whole alternative system there. Okay. Hey, message 333. Well, this is the new one, so we're not looking at the current one. This is still under development, but yeah, I hope you find the current version of Extra Tools useful. Oh, that's now going to fail because I just saw that. There we go. That's going close out of this again because I just noticed that our really good friend Steam VR decided that, oh, your headset's going to sleep. So this was what I was talking about a little while ago, is that when the headset goes to sleep, because I'm developing, I get thrown out of Steam Link. I have to go back in. I have to wait until the headset figures out the Steam Link's gone down. Then I can restart it. And then sometimes, like now, it then says, hey, everything went bad. I don't know what to do here. And then I need to restart it one more time. So there we go. So yeah, there's room for improvement there. But then again, this is obviously not the way that people normally use Steam Link. People usually do longer sessions. And yes, I know that I can turn my proximity sensor off and make sure that that my headset doesn't go to sleep. But then before our stream is ended, my headset will be out of battery. So while I do have a power cable here, I don't really want to use it. So there we go. So interestingly enough, it isn't actually giving a fully black view. But anyway, you guys can't see anything when we're in that view. However, now you should see something. I can see that the camera is moving the wrong way, but I should be able to do that. And we should actually be able to get closer here. So hello. So yeah, you should now see a third-person view of what is going on. Now, the problem that I do have right now is that the camera is in a really bad spot. But guess what? By the magic of Godot, while my game is still running, I can go in here and I can select my Spectator camera. Whoops. I just need to have a look. I'm over there. I probably should do this after I restart this thing. Let me actually restart the game first so that I am in the right position. And this is a bit of a shame that, there we go, that's better. But I should now be able to adjust you and move you, and I can actually see what's happening. And unfortunately, you guys, this goes off screen, but I've just live changed what this thing is doing. The only downside is it doesn't update until I let go, but I can still see. So that's still not really horizon aligned. Oops, it's too much. Actually, can I just go in here and inspect my transform and just zero that out and zero that out? There we go. And now that's too far down. That's too far up. All right. So one of the things that I still want to do is make it possible for me to actually adjust the camera position from within VR. But I just did some live editing with this thing. Aha. Now, the cool thing is, what I actually very often also do is Steam Link has the ability to share my desktop. And I actually do what I just did from within the headset, and I can actually directly see what's happening, which is kind of cool too. So all the stuff that the XR editor does is actually also possible in this way. So hello. We still have a beautiful empty space, but now we have a camera pointing at me, and yeah, you guys can now see me from a third-person perspective. Cool. And the nice thing, of course, from that is that you don't get the shaky head because I'm moving my head around and all that sort of stuff. So room for improvement. Still a lot of things that I want to build and make better there, but still, it's there's some cool stuff there. And it makes life a lot easier. In the meantime, I need to fill up some water because my throat's getting dry. Oops. So I no longer need you. I no longer need you. I'm going to leave you open. Let's go and create a little table. Now, the other thing that I've done here, if I am not mistaken, yeah, is that I've got an automatic player height calibration. Zimcom XR Tools 2 is a still in development successor to XR Tools 1. And XR Tools 1 has been our main toolkit that you can find over here or in the asset library. But this has been our main XR toolkit for Godot that gives you a whole bunch of functionality out of the box. But I'm working on a new version called XR Tools 2, which currently only does about 10% of what XR Tools 1 does. So anybody who wants to work on VR projects in Godot, please keep using XR Tools 1. But yeah, we're working on a new version that does some nice things and does some things differently than XR Tools 1 does. Ah, very cool. Well, this is eventually going to be replace XR Tools at some point, or, might live side by side with it for a while. I don't know yet. But it really is way too early for that. As you can see, there's still a lot of things missing, but there's also a lot of things that just work better than they did in XR Tools 1. So, well, I've done this 100 times as well, but might as well do it again. Again, another static body. We're going to make a little table. Let's go and move that a bit forward. And this time I'm going to make my life a little bit easier, because normally I put some table legs under it and all that sort of stuff, but I'm just going to make it a box. Don't really want to, it'll waste a lot of time building a table, so we're just going to go and create a box. Let's make it a bit wider. That's good enough. I'll keep it one high. Let's also go and position that half a meter up so that it's like that. Let's also go and create a collision shape. There we go. That also needs to be a box shape. That also needs to be too wide. So this margin should no longer matter now that we use Jolt. So this is the other thing. I don't know if people notice yet. We're on 4x4 development. And since a couple of days, the default physics system, well, I'm not 100% sure if it's actually default, but I have enabled it. Here's Jolt. So yeah, got Jolt's physics running. And I am quite happy with Jolt's physics. So yeah, and I've left everything standard default values, but maybe that needs to be improved at some point. We're going to move that up as well. So I don't like moving the whole thing up. I like the table to actually be on the ground, but yeah. Let's also go and give this a material again. So we're just going to keep on using standard materials, because I am just doing PCVR anyway, so I don't care. I will be loading this onto a quest. I might be a little bit more careful with my materials, but there we go. Just going to use that crazy pattern again. Come on, there we go. Let's give that a different color. Don't really care what sort of color. What's a nice color for a table? We make it a blue table. We make it a blue table. Why not? So yeah, Jolt is a new physics engine that was added to Godot. Jolt is the physics engine that was developed by Guerrilla Games for Horizon Zero Dawn. And it might even have been used for earlier games of theirs. Oh, that's the wrong one anyway. Sorry. So yeah, it's why is it doing that? Sorry, I'm getting confused why my... there we go. That's what I wanted to do. I just wanted to create a little bit more nice box. So yeah. So yeah, Guerrilla made Jolt a long time ago, or has been working on it for a long time. And they decided to open source it. So we basically are using the physics engine that comes from Horizon Zero Dawn. And it's a whole lot better than Godot's built-in physics engine. So that still has some rough edges because of the integration between the two. But they're slowly changing the physics system in Godot to make better use of Jolt. So that should be pretty cool. All right, let's go and test this. Now, I again saw that Steam Link decided that my headset going... Actually, it's not really Steam Link's fault. It's the headset is going to sleep. So let's go and restart this. There we go. Connect. Oh, am I on battery? Oh, I'm still pretty full on battery. That's the whole reason why I'm going through this bit of pain. But there we go. Let's go and start this. Let's go and move you into place. And let's see if our camera is actually in a good enough place to see. Yeah, you guys can see this. Now, this is where I do have a problem. That my desk is in the way, so I need to slowly move back a bit. And I can get to the table. I might make this table a bit higher to make it usable. But you can see that I cannot move my hands through the table. It's kind of cool. But the table is a really nice static object. So, yeah. Notice also, by the way, this blue ghosting. That's an optional thing that I added in. But it's a nice way to see what it's doing. And you can tweak the hands a little bit more. You can You can actually make this lagging effect a little bit less if you want to. I should really look at the camera. Hopefully you guys can see what I'm doing. All right, sweet. Alrighty, there we go. All right, so that's our little table. I am going to go and save that in a separate thing. I'm just going to call that objects. And we're going to go save our table. So next thing is we need to have something that we can play around with a little bit. So let's add something really simple. We're going to add a rigid body. And again, this is different from how XR Tools 1 works. In XR Tools 1, we had to take the pickable object, the pickable scene and inherit it and then work from there. Here, we're just going to use a rigid body. I think 1 kilograms for now is fine for this thing. I'm going to go and move you up a bit. Oh yeah, before I'm actually going to do that box. Let's go back into the table and make the table slightly higher. So I'm going to make that 1.3. Hopefully that's not too big. And that also means that I need to move this up a bit. 65, I'm guessing. This one, the same thing. So I'll make that 1.3. And the transform is going to go and be 65. It should nicely be good. All right, cool. So our table is a little bit higher. We've got you. I'm going to actually put you there. All right, our box needs a collision shape. Our box needs a mesh instance. So just the stuff that we've done 100 times before, but I'm going to make this a small box. And obviously we also need to have a box mesh for this. And we're going to go and make this a small box. There we go. Let's also give this guy a material again. And I know that this is getting a little bit repetitive, but might as well. Let's boink. Okay, there we go. Good enough for me. So I now have a box, and I'm actually going to go and save this box. Save branch, save box. There we go. Let's actually create a second box so we can have some fun with them. And let's create a third box. We have 3 boxes. Yay! And that's all that I'm going to do. I'm not going to do anything extra with them. They are normal boxes. Yeah, that should be. I'm surprised actually nobody's made a plugin for that. Is this still running? I think this should still be running. Yep, it is. Right, there we go. There we go. I really need to make something that the window always opens in the right spot. But anyway, we're here. The table is now a little bit higher, which is it's actually uncomfortably high, but it means that I'm not going to keep running my hands into into my real table. I'm still running my hand into my computer. Well, what do we do? As you can see, I can just move these things around, and can even do something like this. There we go. Look at that. Oh, boink. You can also. Oh, I don't have my grip. And okay, we need to check why my. Oh, because I haven't added my pickup function yet. I am only able to move them around. But yeah, I can use pressure to pick things up. So that's kind of cool. And oh, that wasn't what I wanted. Come here. Yoopsiki. By the way, if we had done that with Godot physics, that would have been completely screwing up. This is Jolt being so much better than Godot. But bloody hell, this is so cool. I could play with this for hours. Just using just normal physics to move it around. And again, it's not perfect because I'm obviously not actually grabbing anything. But oh, now one's on the ground. That sucks. Okay, but anyway, the principle works. Let's go. Let's go and make sure that we can actually pick things up properly. So now this was a little bit interesting. I'm actually going to do that in the normal player scene so that we have it always available. But one of the problems that I had, which was really weird, is that the tracking is very strange. So we actually get all the bone data in global space from the tracking system, and I need to localize that to the hand, or we can't do this sort of stuff because we wouldn't know how much to move things back. So I've localized it on basically the root bone, which is the palm bone in the skeleton information that we get back from OpenXR. And that palm bone's orientation is strange. That's the best word that I can give for it. It's also different between Valve, between Oculus. It's even different between Quest Link and Steam Link for the same hardware. It's a mess. And if you do not have hand tracking and we fall back on tracking on the palm pose, it's different again. So we can't really trust where this location is. It's going to be here, but the orientation is going to be messed up. However, from that palm bone to our wrist bone, which is the root of our actual hand, things suddenly line up. So what I came up with is I created a hand attachment node, which is similar to a bone attachment node. This does exactly the same thing, but it just happens to work together with our collision hand system. And now I can say, well, I want that on my left hand. So that's my root bone here. So these are all the other bones that we have. And now I have a location that is actually solidly usable. Now, I can also use one of these other things. So if I, for instance, want to attach something to, let's say, my ring finger, I could go and, for instance, select this one. So I could actually locate a ring over there if you wanted. And that should actually be properly aligned with that finger. So nice little things to to play around with. So I'm just going to go and call that one a left hand attachment because that's what left hand. Again, it doesn't really matter what it's named. And I'm going to make this one my right hand, and I'm going to rename that right hand attachment. There we go. And now I can add my pickup function. Now guess what? We have an XRT pickup function. Also, by the way, notice 9 out of 10 things are now just scripts that you add in through the plus. There's a couple of scenes that you need to use that I can't really avoid not using a scene. But I'm trying to make as much work with just purely scripts. So you can just use the plus and add things in. So let's do a pickup here as well. However, this would put things, on my wrist, which is not really what I want. So I'm going to move that in a bit, and I'm going to move that there a bit. It doesn't have to be super precise, but yeah, that's where we want our position to be. And yeah, so let's see what it turned that into. So let's round that nicely to 0.2. Let's round that nicely to 0.7. And then we're going to duplicate that on the right hand. And I believe that it needs the exact same values. Minus 0.07. No, that one then needs to be minus 0. That makes sense because it's the other end. Okay, So now our pickup function should work. Let's test it out with that set like this and see what it does. I've actually not tested this this version because we're skipping one step, or we're not doing one step yet. Ooh, what happened there? We went into... Okay. Did we not have a actions grab? Actions grab. Why are you? So you're checking for collision hands. So we're getting our value. Why does it not like that? Start again. That was weird. Oh, was it still running? Maybe it was still running. Yeah, that was weird. Let's see. No, it crashes there again. Okay. What are we doing wrong? That's going like that. We have a collision hand. Grab action is grab, so yeah, we don't have a value yet. Trying to assign value of nil to a variable of float. Ah, we don't have an input yet. Ooh, okay. Yeah, that's interesting. So, because this is actually a variance. So I just want to go and cast that to floats. Let's see if it is happy like that. You know what? If we end up here, we just return 0. That's probably best. So I'm going to have to remember to fix that actually upstream. Yeah, this is Quest 3. But using it over Steam Link as a PCVR, that's it. All right, see if it's happy this time. Oh, well, it's not crashing. So now, when I get my hand closed, we can see that we have a little light up. And then when I press grab, we have the wrong grab. Ha ha ha. Okay. And that's probably why it was coming back as nil, because it doesn't know what grab is, because in my asset set, I have called it grip. So we're gonna change that to grab. There we go. Squeeze. Oh, that's not going to immediately show, of course. Now it says yeah, grab. All right. So yes, I use my Quest 3 over my my Wi-Fi, because my Wi-Fi router is just behind my computer, so that is pretty good. My computer itself is wired up with normal network cable, and just using Steam Link. Yeah, I could use Quest Link as well, but I'm actually a fan of Steam Link. We can do it now. As you can see, we grab that. It's putting the hand in the wrong place, because right now I don't have logic yet to position the hand if I haven't nominated anything yet. But it did grab my my cube, and it's actually grabbing the cube on the center of the cube. So almost there. That is a bit of logic that I still want to perfect. I actually want that if there is nothing special on the set on the object, so in this case on our box, I want to start using a raycast and see where on the collision shape we're hitting, and then grab it on that collision shape. That's just still something that I'm playing around with and working with. SimCam, yes, there's no noticeable lag on this. Now I do have a fairly decent Wi-Fi connection here. You need a fairly recent Wi-Fi router for it to work really well. But I found it very, very stable. I'm quite impressed by it. Okay. So seeing that we have not set it up, yep, and we don't have that raycast logic yet, we need to decorate our object. So again, my principal point or principal assumption that I've made in building XR2 Tools 2 is that we try and use things out of the box as much as possible. So we've created a normal rigid body. As any normal rigid body, we didn't add anything specific for XR. We could completely work around, work with it. We could push them around. We can pick them up. It's just that the location where we're grabbing something, that's not perfected yet. But I do have the ability to actually nominate a pickup point. So we're going to go search for grab, and we're going to find this XR22 grab point. And we're going to add that over here. And I'm going to actually move that out of my cube. We're going to make this our left grab point. And I'm going to say I only want that for the left hand. And then as a helper, I can say, show me my left hand. And I can immediately see that I went the wrong way. I'm going to move you like this. I'm going to move it a little back. And I'm just basically going to position where I want the hand to grab the box. Now, one thing that is not in here yet that we will be adding back in, it is something that we do in XR Tools 1, is being able to position the hand and to say, I don't want an open hand against the box. I actually want to grab the box properly. So let's add another grab point, and we're going to call that the right grab point. And we're going to make that for the right hand. We're going to go and show our right hand. And again, we're just going to position that right against the box. Doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be okay-ish for what we are doing. Yeah, so basically any rigid body you can pick up. And the only problem right now is that we're always picking it up on the center of the object, which of course, like we saw when I was just previewing it, didn't look very nice. My hand was in the middle of the box. But once I've got that raycast logic working, then in theory, well, you would probably still want to use grab points, just because there's a lot of things that you would want to have control over. But for a lot of simple objects, you wouldn't care. All right, let's see where we are now. And again, you guys need to let me know if the Spectator cam approach is working good for you guys. And I know that it's nice and gray when we start, but that's just where we start. There we go. So here we are. We have a thing. And again, I can see where the camera is, and I can see that you guys can see things, but I don't know how clear this is. So let me know if I need to move that camera somewhat closer or not while I try and position here to a nice place. But yeah, now when I grab it, you can see that it actually grabs it at the place where I just push my hand. Now, because we haven't posed our hand, that obviously looks a little bit off, but I can grab my little boxy thing, and I also can grab it with two hands. And now you can see that it's nicely in the middle, like, yay! Woohoo. And this is, of course, much easier to place, but I can still use pressure to grab it. Oh, my tower fell over. You can make a nice little tower game with this, I'm guessing. Whoa. I'm not quite sure why I jumped around there. That's, yeah. It's supposed to do the highlights. For some reason, my highlight's gone. Oh, my highlight doesn't come back when I let go. Oh, well, that's okay. Yeah, we're still perfecting the system. But I can pick that up, and I can have some fun with it. But there's more that we can do. Yeah, indeed. The namespaces in more ways than one is something that I really miss. So yeah, we're prefixing all classes with XR22. Makes it nice and recognizable that we're using that, but it also means that there is less chance of us clashing with things. All right, I am going to go and add a nice little script on this thing. And what I'm also going to do is on my collision shape, I'm going to take my shape and I'm going to look at my resource. Is that it? Yes, that's it. Make that, no, I can't make it bigger. And I'm going to make that local to scene. And I'm going to do the same thing at the mesh instance here. I am going to go in here and I'm going to look at my mesh. And I'm going to go to the resource section and I'm going to mark that local to scene. And that means that all my 3 boxes on the table, where is my table? So 1, 2, oh, we need to hide those. That looks funny. All 3 of these boxes, even though they're coming from the same scene, they now have individual resources for our collision shape and our mesh engines. So we can start doing some fun things with it. What I also want to do, actually first I want to change the color of this thing. Where, oh, that's because I'm in a collision shape. Material. This was nice white, but white's going to be a problem. So let's give this thing some sort of color. I don't know. Like we already have green stuff, so let's make it purple, shall we? Okay, purple box. I also want to go and turn off my previews there because I don't need those anymore. I am going to have a look at I accidentally moved that, didn't I? What did I not? Oh, that is the right one. No, that's okay. Because we're going to do some funky things in scripts here. So, we're going to start making this a tool script. We also need a ready function here. We'll pass for now. And we're going to make an export variable. Actually, let's make that a range. Suffix kg, I think that will work like that. I might get that wrong, I always forget. We're going to, actually no, we don't need that because that's actually directly visible. So let's just only do the size then. Is vector 3 0.1 0.1 0.1. Okay. No, I don't really. Well, I use VS Code for actually doing C++ development, but I have not used it for DGScript. I really enjoy just having the editor like this. We're going to create a setter for this. Oops, we're going to call it value. And we're simply going to set the size of the value. And this allows us to do some extra work. Is inside tree. And we're going to do update size. There we go. We're also going to call that from our ready function. And then obviously we need that function. Okay. So what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to update the size of our collision shape and our mesh instance. And we can change the sizes of these individual cubes. So here we're going to go to say collision shape dot size. Why does that do that? That's not fun. That's going to be mesh, and that will also have a size, so we're going to set that size as well. Boom. Let's go and reopen that. That's something where it always pays to reopen your scenes. It should often restructure it, but it doesn't always do it. All right, so we have some boxes. So let's go and make this one a little bit bigger. There we go. So let's go and move this a little bit to the left. Let's move this a little bit to the left. Let's run a little bit more up. And then the last one, we're also going to make a little bit bigger. I'm doing that just so that we have a visual indication of which one is what size. We have now 3 boxes. We're going to make this guy 20 kilos. We're going to make this one 10 kilos. And we're going to leave that one at 1 kilo. Let's go and have a look at what that does. Bling a bling. Okay. That's right. That's because, of course, my headset went to sleep, so I need to restart Steam. Okay. Come on. Come on. Come on, figure out that you need to be restarted. Error 466. Your host session is not the session that I'm expecting to see. No, you know. That's because I restarted a new session. Still not quite sure why sometimes it restarts nicely and sometimes I need to do an extra close and restart. Ready. Boom. And I actually, oh, this is not good. Okay, well, all right, I'm going to have to, sorry guys, I'm going to have to quit that. I'm going to have to quit that one. And I just need to restart my poor little headset. This is the other problem that I have is sometimes it suddenly decides to, no, that's not what I wanted. Oh, do a full shutdown then. Okay, going back up. Sometimes when I restart Steam Link too often, then it just gets confused and it doesn't want to run right. And I usually just a restart is enough. For some reason, I managed to shut it down completely instead of doing the restart. But we're nearly back up and running. You go over here, go and start Steam Link. Come and figure out Steam's running. Yep, there we go. All right. Actually, one of the things that that is also funny is I'm actually going to go into Steam Link right now, and you guys can't see this, but I can. And I'm going to the desktop, and you should see the mouse moving, and it's actually moving it with the controller now. So I can go and do that. And I still see my desktop, and I also see my game running in the background. I can so move that here. And yeah, I do need to figure out how to make sure that that actually opens up correctly. And now I can go over there, and I do everything from inside the headset. So yeah, now that we have got this a little bit heavier, so I can really easily flip that guy over. But this one, I need to push a little bit harder. And this one, I really need to push. So you can see how I need to do a lot more effort to do that. And of course, I hit my computer again. And the same thing with picking up. Oh, I forgot to change the placement of my hands. And that means that it's extra that. So let's fix that up first. This is all wriggly now. Also means that I should make my no, you need a meta account for your Quest 3. But well, Steam Link only works for the Quest 3 at this point in time. But both HTC and Pico have their own PCVR streaming service. So yeah, you can use them. Okay, let's go back into our box. Dang it, I've got itchy things. So I need to go. That's the X position. Okay. So what we're now going to do on our size is we're going to go left grab point dot position dot X. is, oops, minus size times 0.5 plus 0.25. That should be pretty good, I think. Oh yeah, size dot x. And then we want to do the same thing for the right grab position. This one we can do positive. There we go. Yeah, but I also like PCVR because of the fact that I can do stuff like the Spectator cam and all that sort of stuff. So I prefer the workflow if you have a PC capable of doing it. But, you know, working fully on the Quest is definitely more and more viable. Why am I... Yeah, okay, well, I can still work. For some reason, my... Here we go. And let's move that down a bit. There we go. Okay. Play. There we go. Perfect. So now hopefully that wasn't quite what I had in mind. Okay, so I did the position the wrong way around now. Actually, seeing that I'm in here anyway. Oops, yeah, I do need to go into that. I can move you away. And I think the problem is that I made this way too big. That needs to be a 0. And that needs to be a 0. But the problem is I still need to restart it before that takes effect. But there we go. Oh, no, don't do that. Sometimes Microsoft tries to guess what you want to do and it guesses wrong. I really need to figure out how to make sure that thing opens up in the right place. All right, so now the hand is in the right spot. Now it's a little bit jiggly because I forgot to do the other thing, which we'll do in a minute. But the nice thing about it is we really have more trouble lifting the 20 kilogram box. Oh, and I just hit the table. Instead of the 10 kilogram one. So the weight of the rigid body is actually part of, you know, the simulation. Now, there is some, and I need to go back in here. Sorry, that's catching up on what 6 degrees of crispy bacon is saying. Yeah, no, it's you know, the whole XR editor running on the Quest, and especially indeed if you're traveling, is so cool, especially if you set up you know, Git on your Quest so that you can easily you know, upload your work and share your work with your PC. It's a really cool workflow, and in many cases it's fine. I think for me, I do stick with PCVR simply because I've got a really fast machine and it's just a joy to work on. I've got a nice big monitor here, but especially when I'm streaming, you know, being able to do more with showing what is actually happening, that is kind of important to me. So anyway, so what I wanted to just double check was actually what the physics settings here were. Yeah, that should be all right. So we can crank these up a little bit, and that would make it less, you know, ding, 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 ding. I'm still playing around with what the correct values for this is. But for tonight, this is good enough. What are we on time? But I'm almost at midnight. So we're going to do one more thing. And that's actually going to be a relatively big thing. But yeah, our boxes work. I'm just going to move them back so that we don't lose them. But we're going to stop working with the boxes. But yeah, the cool thing right now is that our simulation is you know, is changing depending on the weight of the boxes. We are using normal rigid bodies now. Yes, with still grab points, but that's an optional thing. So we can do lots more cool things. Now, all that I've done so far is actually already in my test projects. So I was pretty sure that most of this was going to work while demonstrating it tonight. But we're gonna go on to somewhat new ground, and I'm gonna do that with one of my most favorite things, and that is weapons. Ha ha ha! So we're gonna start again with a rigid body, and we're gonna call that pistol, and we're gonna go and save that, and I'm happy to save that in there. And let's just start with adding our pistol in there. Now, I've used this pistol in so many demonstrations before. It's not funny, and I still think it is one of the nicer assets that I have for this. So there we go. I am just going to go and drag that in. There is our pistol. Hey. Now, save that. Let's first see what's that looking like with size. I am fairly happy with the size of that. We are definitely going to go and reposition that more nicely into the middle. Oops, don't want to do that. But let's at least make sure that it is going to start in a relatively nice position. There we go. Cool. All right. We're going to have to turn edible children onto that thing. And probably what I'm going to want to do here is actually go into my import settings. And the first thing that I want to do is extract materials. I'm going to actually create a folder for that. I think it only creates one material, so that's fine. The other thing is that I kind of want to create proper collision shapes for this, but I'm not going to do that through the import because I do not want to change the type of this. What I could actually, maybe I should. Maybe I should. You know what? I'm going to do exactly that. So let's go and save this guy. And we're going to go in main and we're going to actually delete it from our scene again. Let's do this a bit nicer. Okay. Because I've never tried this and I want to see if this actually does something the way that I want it to. So, okay. I'm just gonna import as what? Oh, well, hold on. Sorry, guys. I forget always that you can't see my full screen. There we go. There should be an option here, and I'm trying to find it. Where are you? Why am I not seeing you? There should be an option here. Maybe it's, oh, maybe it's on this one. Because these are all individuals. Okay, I am not going to do that way. What I wanted to do actually is in that option, when I selected the mesh, I can mark it as a physics object, and I can actually mark it as a rigid body, and it would actually create the scene with rigid body as the root node, and then automatically export all the, or create all the collision shapes. that would have been really nice because there's some cool things that we can do with that. Actually, what I do want to do before we continue is set mesh save path, and we're going to go and create meshes here, and I'm going to select all of them. Yep. Okay. Re-import. Okay. So what we've now done is, first of all, we created this material for our pistol, but also all the meshes in there are now separate resources, which is kind of nice because we're going to be using parts of the pistol. And again, this is the other reason why I'm not telling the import to turn it into a physics object, even though it was really cool. Yeah. Hold on. Just will XRT to be a branch of extra tools? No, it will be a new repo. At this point in time, it's still private because I'm still developing it. But eventually, it'll just be a repo that lives next to the extra tools 1 repo, and they'll live side by side for a while because it's probably gonna take a good year or longer before extra tools 2 catches up to extra tools 1. But it does a couple of things nicely, and some people might want to use it earlier. But yeah, they're gonna live side by side. Extra 2 is also going to be MIT licensed, just like Extra 2 1. So all good. What was it? Generate LOD? Is it an auto LOD generator? Zimcom? Yes, it is. Godot has got automatic LOD in, and as long as you're using one of the Vulkan renderers, it will automatically switch between LOD version. I think might not be in the mobile render, might only be in the 4 Plus renderer, but it's definitely in there. Anyway, we need to redo what we were already doing before, which is go and create our rigid body again. On the pistol. Go and save branch as scene. Oh, we still have our scene. Okay, I didn't actually delete the scene. Okay, that's good. Then I can just do this. Pistol. The scene. Do need to go move that back up again, which means I need to go ahead and do the rotations again. Ta-da. Ta-da. Okay. The rest we'll do inside of here. Okay. So we got edible children. We have all this, but these should now all be... Oh, there's still array meshes in here. That's interesting. Let's just go and redo this. That's interesting. Oops. Yeah, that's still the internal error mesh. I was expecting that to actually be linked to one of these guys. But I don't care. As we have the resources there. That's all that I really care about right now. So we're obviously going to go and move this somewhat more like that. It doesn't have to be precise, but I don't want it to be over there because this is actually going to turn into our, what's the right word for it? It's going to be the center point for the physics. So our, I can't remember what the word is in English. Okay. Let's hide our suppressor. We're not going to deal with that. We might do something with the suppressor later on, but I don't want to do it like that. I don't want to go in the loaded magazine. That's going to be completely out of there. We're going to leave our empty magazine in place for now, but we're going to be doing something later with that. And they're saying also center of mass. Thank you, Jordy. That was the word that I was looking for. And I might need to still create a center of mass a little bit better, but for now, this is good enough. All right. So I'm hiding these things because obviously I can't delete things out of there, but we might eventually, when we do more things with those, we might solve those things differently. All right, so let's first fix up our material, shall we not? So all that's wrong here is it's actually not loaded the texture. So if we go and go here and we go into our, oops, not into MISC, into our pistol. We go to texture and we load our texture up here. And then all of a sudden we have our gun in nice little colors. Cool. No, the center of mass is always where your well, I believe that you can adjust it here. But here's auto define, or maybe it is center of mass is calculated automatically based. Oh, it is actually. You're right, Zimcom. It that didn't used to be there. It used to always be on the pistol. Though I still like to have it like that. So all good. Okay. So we have our barrel, which is just the inside there. We have our hammer, which is that. So we're going to leave that in there. Our slide is the whole top bit. So very good there, which we will actually be hiding soon, but not yet. And then the trigger is just a trigger. So we'll eventually play around with the trigger and stuff like that. But for now, that's good enough. Okay, cool. First things first is we need to start doing some collision shapes. And we're just going to go and use our create collision shape here. I don't care where it is created right now because we're not going to use it as is, so sibling is fine. Let's see how well tri-mesh works in Jolt. I've never really tried that out yet before. So there's our collision shape for our pistol itself. It has created it over here, which is in the wrong spot. But we're going to call that pistol collision shape. This is where it's really annoying that I don't have enough space. But I'm going to move that over there because that actually needs to be part of there. So what is this doing? When used for collision, is intended to work with static collision object known as aesthetic. It will likely not behave well for rigid bodies 3D. Now, I don't know if this is a warning that we should take seriously, whether this is a warning from the what you call it, the Godot physics engines days, or whether this is actually going to be a problem for us. Anyway, so we want to have that collision shape. The other collision shape that we really want to have is for the slide. So let's again do create collision shape. We're just going to create it as assembling. We're going to do the tri-mesh. Okay, let's see if we do single convex. What does that look like? So that does a little bit over there. That's actually not too bad. Let's see what happens if I do that as well for here. Does that matter? You know what? I am actually going to... Why is this a... Oh, that's just... okay. Yeah, let's just use this as a collision shape. Okay, so this is going to be our slide collision shape. Okay, so that should be nicely there. I think that'll do for what we want to do. Now, the slide, obviously, is going to be moving backwards and forwards. So one of the things that we're going to do with that, eventually, we're not going to do that yet, because the slide is eventually going to be solved differently. So hold that thought. We're going to come back to that in a little bit. All right, I think that's good enough for what we want to do right now. So all that's left is to create our grab points, because I do want to have grab points here, and I want to have a separate grab point for whether we're grabbing it with our left hand or our right hand. Now, one thing that we don't have yet is the ability to tell it that we can only hold it with one hand. So in theory, I could now hold two hands on the grip. But hey, we'll eventually solve that at some later date. Now, again, we don't have the posing yet, so that's the other thing that we don't have yet. But for now, you know, we just want to have it somewhere in a position that makes sense. No, the collision shape needs to be a child of the rigid body. And because we want the whole pistol to work as a unit, we need to make sure that it does it does it like this. Okay. Let's go and just duplicate that for the right hand. I do have to say, I really hope that soon we will have that all working. There we go. So we're just going to mirror that, because again, all the finger positions are wrong, but whatever. Now I've already made it so that when you pick something up, that becomes an exception. So it's not going to the hand is not going to keep colliding with the gun. Whoops. What did I just... All right, sometimes it's not removing that properly yet. But, you know, it's work in progress. All right. So, at this point in time, I should be able to go and pick up my gun. I'm going to test that out. So, I'll be back in a sec. Because, of course, I need to restart Steam Link. Or maybe whenever I finish testing something, I should just exit Steam Link. That's probably a really good idea. Okay. I'm gonna really need to make that work properly. Opa! All right. So I've got this nicely here. Now that could use some work on the highlights, but I can pick it up, and that's actually not badly positioned. I should move the hand slightly forward, but I've almost got my my trigger finger in the right place. Well, that's pretty cool. Yeah. That's just a quick gamble for putting it in the right spot. But one of the things that's really nice is that it still feels really good moving it around. So I can also, this is the other thing which actually I didn't really show very well, but now that I'm holding this, that actually works. Now, I think the pistol is now set to being a kilogram, so it's nicely light, but I can't really move that. Now that it is okay with. I guess I can. No, the pistol is just too light for that. But I can move this around to the pistol. I can do this. This is the bit that, yeah, it's pretty damn cool. But yeah, I need to do some more work on the highlight. I'm not happy about how overdone the highlight goes here. I have a feeling that I am ignoring hidden objects. But yeah, we got a pistol, and at some point we can make it go shoot boom boom. But the thing that I really want to do right now is I actually want to go and make the slide work. Go away. Too many things there. But we want to make it work in a physics way. And that's where it's different, because before, actually, let's go and let's do that. This quits Steam Link. I don't have to worry about that anymore. It's highlighting when I rotate the gun, because right now I don't have logic that prevents me from grabbing the gun with two hands. I still need to make an option that says I am only allowed to grab this thing with one hand. And as a result, when my left hand comes close to the gun is being highlighted to indicate that my left hand can grab it. And when I move my hand far enough away from the gun while I'm holding the gun, it's no longer highlighted. So again, it's only there's a few little things to improve. Hey, Cyber, how are you going? So let's go and have some fun with the slide. Now this, I totally admit, is completely new ground. Actually, I wanted to grab both of those and make it slightly forward and slightly down. I'm just gambling there, but I think that was pretty much what we needed. So this is the bit that I haven't done yet. But where I want to start looking if we can do something fun with this. So we are going to go. We're going to go, and this is going to be somewhere else in a minute, but I'm going to start with putting it here so that our position is correct. And now I want a mesh instance for the slide. Slide, I'm going to go slide mesh. Now I'm just going to go. Actually, I'm going to load that slide mesh up from our resource that we have on disk, because else is going to copy the array if I'm not being careful. Here. Where are you? Slide. Slide. There we go. Cool. And now I'm going to go and move that over here. Sweet. And I'm going to move you over here so that that slide has its own collision shape and its own mesh. And we're going to hide that because we've got a double. And we don't care about the night side. Okay, and I'm pretty sure that the highlights is actually highlighting everything in here, even the things that are like that. Now, if we would run it right now, the slide would be a completely separate object from the pistol. So we need to go and make those two work together. And for that, we're going to add a slider joint. I've never used one of these before, so I have no idea how well that works. And actually, I want to make sure that that is in line with the slider over here. So let's go and do that first. But I am not going to make it a child of the slide. I'm going to return it to being a child of that. Cool. Sweet. Now, A is going to be our pistol. B is going to be our slide. And now we need to figure out how do we do this. Okay. First of all, how do we figure out what the orientation is here? Because we might need to move that 90 degrees. Let's see what happens if I make this smaller. Yeah, that moves those two clouds. So the slide is right now in that direction. So we need to go and rotate that by 90 degrees. All right. So it's basically how far can that go back? How far can that go forward? Now a big question is, how is this slide? I'm actually going to move this guy because this guy is nicely on 0, so it's easy to see what we can do. I don't think this goes forward. I think this only goes back. So we really should make the forward motion 0. Let's go back to our slider joints. And we're going to say 0. So I think that's going to mean that we are only allowed to move it back now. Okay. Now we need to find out how far are we allowed to move it back. All right. So let's move it back. How far back do you go? I'm guessing that goes something like this. All right. Nicely round, or is that too far? Okay, in this case, I actually want my loaded magazine in there with my bullets visible. And this is really where it is so annoying that, that you cannot really position your camera very well. Okay, so that needs to go far enough that the bullet can go in. Yeah, let's make it 005. Okay, so let's reset that back to 0. And then our slider joints should be like that. So that is how far we're allowed to move forwards and backwards. Okay. Cool. Now, the other thing which is going to be important is our spring. Let's wait with changing anything else first. Really wish I was better. No, slider joint is a physics object, Roman. So it allows you to link, or there's a whole bunch of joints actually. When you look at here, there's a whole bunch of like a hinge joint, a pin joint, slider joint, etc., etc. They allow you to attach two physical bodies together and only make them move in a certain way. Now, at this point in time, I don't have any spring logic. I do have, yeah, I have no angular limit, so I'm not allowed to twist it. I'm only allowed to move it. But I don't have something that will bring it back to 0. So how are we going to do that? So we're going to have to, do we have a spring? No. Well, there's a way that we can solve that, but I'll do that in a minute. But for now, we're going to leave that as is, and you're just going to see what that does. What I'm expecting this to do is that it's going to just move around very easily, because there's a little bit of standard dampening on it, but yeah, it's not doing much more than that. Oh, for some reason it's disconnected my... There we go. And disconnected my network. Connect. Okay. Okay, for some reason it is moving the opposite direction that I want it to move in. But that is pretty damn cool though. Yeah, okay, so why is it moving the opposite direction as what I think? So that would suggest that the gizmo thing is wrong. So actually, let me go a little closer. So I don't know if you guys can really see that move. Like me, but it does work pretty cool. All right, so we're gonna have to reverse that direction. That's gonna be very easy. It's strange that it's what it needs to do. But the other thing that we need to make sure is that this isn't loosey-goosey. We need to add a spring to it. Now, I was looking for a spring object and couldn't find one. I don't really need a spring object. So again, when my left hand comes close, you can see that, oh, I can actually... That's the other thing. It doesn't really like it, but I've grabbed it. So obviously I need to make that work better. But I can also grab my gun two-handed, which is kind of cool. It's kind of a cool thing that I can two-handed grab my gun, but it's still sliding the slide. That's kind of funny. Anyway, cool. Yeah. So, so I guess that these border thingies are the wrong way around. So we're going to make that 0.05, and I'm going to make that 0. And suddenly it works. but it's counterintuitive. I think that this thing is drawn wrong, but I am not complaining. I don't really care because it still works. Well, actually, let's see if it now does what we want to do. Now, obviously, I also need to react on that movement. Excuse me. But that's something that we're not really going to completely figure out today. I want to get, but I do want to get to the point where we can use that slide properly. So now we can see the slide is actually moving back now and forward, back and forward. Yeah, of course, it's not supposed to be loosey-goosey like that. But that is really easy to fix. Blink. Because all we need to do for that is to apply a spring force. And applying a spring force is as simple as just applying a continuous force to our slider joint. So let's go to our pistol and let's put a script on our pistol. Let's go and add a physics process function to that. We actually are not going to care about delta. There we go. And all we need to do is on our slide is we're going to apply, and I always forget whether we need to apply a force. And actually, I don't want that as central force, whether it's a force or a impulse. So a force applies the direction of force without affecting rotation. A force is time dependent and meant to be applied. So that's the one that we want to do. We don't want to do the impulse one. We want to do the central force. And we just need to give it a force in the right direction to keep the slide closed, and that we only move it if we give it enough pressure. And yeah, I do need to make sure that I've got some way to indicate whether an object can be picked up with both hands and stuff like that. We'll figure that out eventually. So this slide needs to get a force applied that is always towards the back. So all we need to do is we need to get our little z vector from our global transfer, because the force needs to be in global space, which is really interesting. And we just take the negative. So the force that we're going to apply here is slide global basis z, and we need a negative about that, and we need to multiply that with some sort of factor. Could be way too much, could be way too little, but remembering how much force we're applying on the hand to move the hand, this might be enough. We don't know. We'll see. The important thing is that if I shake my gun, it shouldn't move the slide. Well, I don't know why it's always moving that in weird directions. Oh, I just resized that. That wasn't really what I had in mind. Okay. Okay. That is way too much force. Uncool. Let's just do a little bit of force then. And maybe we need to do the force based on how far it's moved, because this is definitely too little. Okay. Sorry, I forgot to put that in place, but I could see that that wasn't good enough. So I'm thinking that we're going to make a factor based on how far away this is from where it should be. Okay, how are we going to do that? That one, I'm actually going to take my headset off for. And I think that that's the reason why I thought 100 was okay. I'm going to put it back to 100 for this. because the distance is going to limit it quite a bit. So the distance that we're going to multiply this by is the distance between our slider joint, which is where our starting position was. Yeah, that's still there. So we're going to make sure that we know that the slider joint is at our start position. Okay. Slider joints 3D dots global position. We're going to take out our slider. Oh, let's just call it slide global position. The other thing, actually, you know what would be nicer? We're just going to move that over there. I think it's allowed to do that. We will see whether it is. Because what that means is that we can actually just take our slide position, because that's going to be moving in the local space of our slider. If it is nicely where it should be 0. But the more we move it away, yeah, that is good. So that just becomes length. So now we can say factor dot that. Okay. And that's going to be a value between 0 and 0.5. So the highest that we're going to calculate is, so the highest strength is going to be 5, which is probably too little. But start. Okay. Come on. Didn't like that, did it? Oh, because the slide is now a... Yeah. All right, can we fix that here? Yeah, no, I need to... yeah, like this. So, nope. I'm ready. Our slider is... Slider don't slide. Thank you. All right, see if it works now. Oh, right. All right. Okay. I have a feeling that... Okay, it might be that... oh, state. All right. No, that's the wrong button. Huh. I think it was the wrong way around. Okay. It was flipping around again. Oh, picked it up by the slider. That wasn't what I had in mind. Okay. Okay, we can see that now it wants to... It does want to move back. I'll move a little bit closer to the camera. So you can see that it's trying to... So when I've got it horizontal, it's fine. But it's still bouncing around a bit. So... Oops. When I let go of the gun, which is kind of funny, Why is it? Oh, it's just being highlighted. When I let go of the gun, no, it's we're getting good things. It's still sort of on my hand. It's still colliding with my hand. That's kind of funny. Okay. So, let's make that a bit more. Oh. Save. Okay. Well, it still has a bit of loosey-goosey. I might add a little bit of a factor on it. But I can pull it back. I don't know if you guys can see that. I'm not actually grabbing it. I'm just pushing it. I'm pushing it back. Oh. There we go. Boom. And then when my hand gets off again, it's a bit sticky. When my hand lets go, and yeah, it comes out. It's just a little bit. It's a little bouncy. That's something that I definitely need to improve. And that's just a matter of tweaking the rotational force, because this is a bouncy gun. Okay, so what we're going to probably do, in this case, I'm just going to take that off again. Hey, Nub, how you going? So what I'm probably just going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of a base in here. So let's make that 0.01, just to always have a little bit of power on there. Come on. Yeah, there we go. All right. Good. All right. So it's still, when I'm moving it, it's hard to see, but it's still moving the slide by itself a little bit, especially when I'm holding it up. But I can still push it back. Yeah, I need to make sure that we can disable the, this is pretty cool though. Yeah, you guys can't really see that, but there's a bullet in there. There we go, there's a bullet in there. Boom. So yeah. Yeah, I need to make sure that I can disable the highlight when I don't want it. And I need to make sure that this is a little less bouncy, but I now have a slide that I might actually even, yeah, I still probably need to put a grab point over here. Let's actually quickly do that so that we can use the grab point to control the slide. That would be really nice. That would make it less wobbly as well. Your picture on okay. Okay, I need to remember that my face was on that side. And then actually, I'm then going to go, no, that's not main. It's going to be my start scene. Yeah, I really need to make it possible for me to adjust the camera in the game, because okay, so now I can hopefully, because the table is actually in the way. That's why I can't sit in the right spot. Anyway, let's go back to the pistol. So Nub, just for you, because I guess you're only just dropped in. This is all just part of my asset. So if I just grab that, so that's basically my gun. I've got my rigid body. I've got a collision shape for that. I've got 2 grab points for wherever I want to grab the gun. And then I have a slider joint. And then I have the slider of the gun reproduced as a rigid body, which is connected to that slider joint, so that can only move on the gun. I then have a script that applies a force to the slider so that it springs closed. I'm going to increase it slightly. If I do that too much, then my gun will start rotating, which is really funny. But yeah, Recoil will be so easy to do, Cyber, because that just means that when, because again, it's all physics now, right? So the moment that I want to do recoil, all I need to do is when you fire the gun, is give an impulse, and in this case, I wouldn't do a central impulse. I would just do apply force and give a location. And what would the location be? The location would be here, and then I would apply a force inwards, and that would automatically mean a recoil. And a recoil that's completely controlled by physics and therefore somewhat unpredictable. Now, again, I need to get rid of a lot of more bounciness and stuff like that. But anyway, what I wanted to do now is I wanted to create some more grab points, because I also want to create a grab point for my slider. So let's start with a left-hand grab point. Again, I can't tell it yet that I only want one hand at a time. All right, so we can see that that is really badly positioned by standard. Now, we don't have anything yet to control this properly. This is left hand, so I'm going to be coming from that side. Perfect. So this is pretty much what we want. I'm just going to put it there. Again, I don't really care about the placement in this case. It's just to have there because I can't move it around anyway. Let's make this a little bit nicer. So that's going to be 90 minus 90. Now I'm going to duplicate that for my right grab point. And then it's going to be on my right hand. And I want to show my right hand here. And this one should then be... let's make it minus 90. Yep, that looks about good. Now, is it the Z or the... I think it's going to be the X. Yeah, perfect. Okay. I think that is good enough for what I want to do. So let's turn these off. The helpers. And again, they're both off, but for some reason one of them is still drawing. I'm not sure why. Hey, it's all new stuff. So now it's happy. So let's see if that wants to work. Well, the controller doesn't matter because the gun is the controller. So, and because the hand is a physics object as well that is pin jointed to the gun. You know, Cyber, we'll do that before we call it a night because it is getting late. I am not going to make it too much longer, but let's start working on the fire mechanism. So I'm not going to do all the control about is the gun loaded and that sort of thing. Okay, so that's what I mean with that spring being a little bit too much. Okay, let's go and change that back to the way it was. I wonder if what I should do here I would need to give an opposite force on the gun. Yes. Yeah, we can do that. So let's go back and keep this 2. What we're now going to do is we're going to apply the force to our gun. But that's going to be in the opposite direction. I actually want to go and I'm ready for slider force is 1000. So we can tweak that a little bit more easily. We can actually then start tweaking that in runtime. Okay. XRT1 is our existing XR tools library that does a lot of things, and XRT2 is a new version that I'm building that does a lot less, but does a few things much cooler. And the biggest thing being that I'm trying to get everything to work with proper physics instead of doing remote transforms and joining and God knows what else. But this is still very early days, so there's quite a lot of instability still. But on a whole, I think this works way, way better than it did before. So now we need a position, and the position that we need is actually the position of a slider point joint in local space of our pistol. So this is going to be, I could even do in slide, but in this case, it makes the most sense to do on the slider joint because that location is where the slide is resting. So this is going to be slider joint at global position minus global position. So it's the position of the actual gun. So it is a global coordinate in local space for the pistol. It's physics works weird, but that'll do. So what we're basically doing now is we're doing a continuous force on the slider to push the slider back into the gun, but to counteract the rotational force that creates, we're going to give a opposite force on the gun itself, and that should, in theory, cancel each other out. But it should still allow the slide to move freely. In theory. No idea if this works. Never tried it. This is completely new ground for me. Oh. No, that's the wrong one. Come on. This is definitely easier here with the mouse. Okay, the gun is now staying where it's supposed to, so that seems to work. Okay, so now I need to remember that I should stay out of that right thing. So I'm still got the wobbly thing. This is so annoying. This is the downside of this sort of VR stuff. I really should be standing up for this sort of stuff. So, gun's not rotating by itself anymore. It's still wobbly, so I still need to fix that. But you know, it's kind of better. So now I've got the slide, and I can actually push the slide back, and actually feel. You can see my ghost hand, right? That I actually need to move my hand quite a bit to get the and I can maybe see it a little better. So you can see how much spring there actually still is in the gun slide. I want to let it go. Oh, I'm actually it's actually pulling the whole gun back. That's how strong that slide mechanism is. So I'm going to see if I can actually lower the strength on the slide, and I should be able to just do that. Like, my computer is in the way. Wait. Okay. So I should just be able to do that live now. So come on, start bar. Thank you. So I should be able to go here now. In here. Table. Whistle. Slider force. Okay, let's half that. See what happens now. Okay. Come on, start bar. Start bar. Where are you? Hold on. Can I just do this? Yes, I can. Oh yeah, you guys gonna see that because that object is selected in remote view. Oh well, whatever. So my slide is still good. Now if I pick this, I don't have to do it too much, and I'm not pulling the whole gun back. So my spring is a lot less. Well, still pulling a bit back. But yeah, pretty damn cool. It's that's the other, because it's not fully physics. I can push the gun down, and actually I should still be able to, like I did before. I'm not grabbing now. I'm just pushing my finger against it. So, and I'm of course now in the I'm in the thing, am I not? But that part would actually be really cool with hand tracking, because I think with hand tracking, I could probably do a lot purely with moving and putting my fingers in the right place. But oops, other side. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I can do it with a grab, and just that obviously is moving a lot nicer. And I can let. And yeah, the only thing is that I need letting go is that sometimes my fingers get stuck on the freaking gun. The other thing, of course, which is really nice, is when we did that in Extra Tools 1, that would usually result in the gun flying off to Never Never Land. And now it's getting stuck, but it's not getting stuck. It's getting just a little bit stuck. So yeah, needs to become a little bit less bouncy, but yeah, as far as it currently works, I am happy. Oh, God. It's really annoying that my computer is right there. I keep hitting my computer. So, yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, moving around with joystick sucks. I wish I could just be walking around more. Okay. So that is, yeah, that's fun. That was a fun little experiment. So we have our gun completely working with physics. Our hands are still a little bit too wobbly, but you know, we could, I guess, just put the strength up of our hands for now. So I could probably move that to 15, and maybe this one also up to 15. Maybe this up to 1,000, and this up to 1,000. Just see if those values work better. All right, let's do a boo-boo, I'm shooting the gun thing. Now, this is a part that I haven't fully worked on yet. Because we're now picking up normal rigid bodies, we no longer have a special Extra Tools pickable object that we inherit from. So we don't have a system yet that messages us, can't pronounce that, you know, the object that we're holding, that something's happening. So I guess we're gonna have to fake it while we make it for now. And you know what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to create a function here called do action. And I'm going to go onto my player. Have I got a script in my player? No, I don't have a script in my player yet, so I'm going to create a script in my player. I do have on my collision hands a button pressed and button released function. Cool. So we're going to go button pressed. Come on. On left hand, let's just do left hand button pressed. Boom, we have that. And we're doing the same thing on our right hand. On right hand button pressed. Do I want... Let's keep it there for now. Ah, what the heck? We're just gonna rely on that. We already know that we had the trigger click thing set up, so that's fine. Action name, no. Do action name, whatever. This is what I hate, is you know, I want to call this action name, but my parameters are also action name. Yeah, do action name. We'll rename the other one. Trigger click, I think it was called. And I'm just gonna call the action name, just so that it's not double. And what we're going to say here is picked up. Let's make our life easy with these, because this is pretty safe to make this unique names. Access unique name. So now we can do left and left collision, and there we go. Now I don't like normally. Oh, that one actually I can't, because that is. So I'm going to have to remember that I'm going to also need to add this into upstream. Because the thing that we've got picked up. No, that's on our pickup thing. Okay. Right. So I need to make that work over here, don't I? This knows what we've picked up. I might be lucky and actually have a public function on this. One thing which is actually really cool, seeing it has a class name, is oh, I can't do that like that. Really? Okay, so if I search, you guys couldn't see it because halfly off screen, but if you search for any of the objects, you actually get help. So we have picked up by, and we have pick up objects, but we don't, oh, get picked up. Yay, we already have it. Cool. So that function is the one that I need. Cool. Okay, so collision hands. Can I do that? I don't know if I can do that. Flash. All right, so I am going to have to call this left pickup, and this right pickup, so that I can actually, because I don't really feel like writing out the whole path, but at least this way they have unique names. So I can do that, and I can say left pickup dot get picked up. So that way I know what I've got picked up. So now I can say if picked up and the action name is action name. Oops, action name. And picked up dot has method do action. Then we're gonna do picked up do action. Yay. And now we need to do the same thing on the right hand, but then the right pickup. So if the, and I don't really like this sort of way of doing it, but for just something to do last minute before we call it a night, I am happy enough to do it this way. So we're saying if we have a picked up object and our action that we are being informed about is actually our action, and our picked up object has the method do action, we're going to call do action. Yay! I'm going back to pistol. That's the thing that we got picked up. We have a do action there. So what we now want to do is we want to have a timer here, because we don't want this to become a machine gun. And what we're going to do is call that our cooldown timer. And let's say 300 milliseconds, one shot, and timeouts. Next. Oh. What did I just do? I did not do the right thing there. That was really dumb, because it created on the wrong script, because I had the wrong thing open. I even created a freaking timeout on the wrong place, didn't I? That was dumb. I'm getting tired, guys. All right, let's try this again. Cool down timer. There we go. 0.3, one shot, and timeout onto the script. There we go. So now we're going to have a var can shoot is going to be true. On our cooldown timer, we're going to say can shoot is true so that we can shoot again. And then here at the end, actually, we're going to do here if not can shoot. And we're going to say current, we can't shoot yet. Do our shoot logic. And then here, obviously, is cooldown. Can shoot false. Actually, let go and we're shooting. Shoot again until cooldown. And then here we simply do cooldown timer start. That's going to ensure that we can't just go. All right. Now, normally I would do flashes and all that sort of jazz. For now, let's just leave this up to so node 3D. I'm just going to put that in front of our cooldown slider. This is going to be bullets spawn point. So I obviously want to go and shoot some bullets. So this one is just a helper to position where our bullets going to spawn. It's also going to help our direction of spawning. It's really cool. All right, now we need a scene for our bullets. So we're just going to say new scene. That's going to become a rigid body. Now, the nice thing is, and this is where I do need to do a little bit more work. I've made our system, though, that we can pick up any rigid body. So in theory, we should be able to grab the bullets out of the sky. Yeah, well, let's not go there for now. Let's go. We're given a mass instance. We give it a collision shape. Where obviously our bullets, we're going to call that bullets. Our bullets is going to be, objects. Yeah, just save that there. That's cool. That can just be a sphere, and that's going to be a super tiny sphere. It's actually still a fairly big bullets. This is a 9mm gun. Yeah, well, we call it a 10mm gun. We're shooting 10mm bullets. Let's make that nice and small. I am not going to worry about the color of this thing. Now this is where, again, Godot's physics engine is stupid because our margin is bigger than our radius of our bullet. But who the hell cares? We are going to add a timer here as well. That's going to be our lifetime timer because we don't want our bullets to survive forever. Let's say that our bullets survive for 5 seconds. It's going to be one shot. It's going to be auto start. Yeah, big bullets for testing. We're going to put a script on this thing. And then we're going to go and have our timeouts. And this is just going to be a Q3. If we're alive after our timeout runs out, then bye-bye bullet. We're going to go and despawn it. All right. So now on our, no, not on our player script, on our pistol script. But those are two. Oh, that should not be an onReady var. That should be an export var. That was interesting that we could actually change that. So let's change that back to 500 because we found out that that was a much better strength. Okay, apply a force to our slider. So it springs closed. Apply a counter force on our gun so that our gun doesn't start spinning. Yay! Like, there we go. So we got that expressed. All right. So now, export var bullets scene is going to be a packed scene. Here we're going to go and say, we're going to do a couple of things. Shoot, not spawn our bullets. If we have a bullet scene and say new bullets, widgets, body 3D is bullet scene instance, accentuate, there we go. Right, now we're going to say add new bullets dot top level is true because we don't want that to be linked to our gun, even though we are going to add it as a child to our gun. We're actually going to add it as a child to our bullet spawn points. Let's actually go and set that afterwards. Because if we add this as a child to our bullet spawn point, it should actually be positioned at our bullet spawn point. In theory, I've never tested this. And then when we say top level is true, means that it can float freely. It's no longer linked to our thing. Now, the only thing is that we need the default velocity, but we can actually put that on here. So if we look at our pistol, we know that the blue arrow is the way that we want that to go and move. The way that we are now attaching it and creating it, we know that it's going to still be there. And if I recall correctly, well, we might end up shooting ourselves if I get this wrong, because the blue is Z. So is that positive Z? That should be positive Z. Yes, that is positive Z. Okay. Now I have no idea what a good speed for the bullet is, but we can simply say 1 meter per second. That's probably going to be a bullet that's going to go, but then at least we can see it work. All right. So well, I just want to test what we have so far because I want to see if our bullets properly spawn. We're going to do our recoil in a sec. And normally, like I said, we would do a flash as well. And if we would really want to be evil, we would do the recoil first, and then we would actually spawn the bullet like a millisecond later, so that you don't actually know what you're shooting at, but, you know, we're not that evil. All right. Of course, I need to restart Steam Link because I forgot to close it. Boom, 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 boom. Okay. Boom. I haven't done anything with sounds yet either, so that could be pretty cool. Come on. Windows, stop doing that. I just want this in the corner. I don't want to enlarge it. Like, all right. So, okay, what happened there? Why is that suddenly working? Timer. Why is it running on timer? Cat children. Oh, because Hold on, node 3D. Because timer is not a node 3D. Okay. Really? If Charles, oops. Node 3D. I bet you there's other things that are going to go iron there. But the other thing that I want to do actually is if mesh distance is visible. Okay, that should remove adding invisible objects to it. Doors should also be super easy in this, because again, everything is now physics based. But it's getting very late, so after we get the recoil working on our gun, so there we go. Okay, that is not working the way that I was hoping it would work. All right. Now, okay. Where are we going wrong? Let's put a few prints in some strategic places and see if we can figure out. So did we move anything around here that would allow us to not get this? Okay, so we're going to be picking up our right hand, so I'm just going to go and say print button press on right hand the action name. Let's first see if we get that. And then print. Well, actually, oops, that means that. Come on. All right, let's see if we got those things entering in. That does mean that I want this to actually be a bit smaller. This is more annoying. There we go. So you guys should be able to watch the logs and see if something happens. So we have a press. Our click works. Okay, and we got a pistol. Okay, so far so good. Okay. All right, so far so good. Really? Yeah. Okay. Do action on boom. And that should be on a pistol. Do action. We have that as a method. Can shoot should be true. If not, then we return. So we should be able to at least do once. We start our cooldown timer. Our cooldown timer is 3 seconds. It's a one shot. It does it on cooldown. That turns it back true. Because we forgot our bullet scene. I have done this mistake so many times, it's not funny. Objects, bullets, there we go. The other thing that I wanted to do that I suddenly realized while we were dangling our gun is I'm hiding my damp, but I'm not allowing it to change. I'm going to figure that out another time. Okay, so here we go. Let's try the same thing again. Make it a bit smaller. Oh, there. So at least we can see something happening. Okay. Boing. Gun. Shoot. Okay, I saw a... Oh. That is very pathetic. And it's going the wrong way. I don't know if that's just falling down. There's lots of little things on the floor. Okay. Whoop. Let's put your key freed object. Okay, so that's interesting. I have a situation where something is freed before we're ready with it. Is instance valid? It's one way of doing it. Definitely a few fixes that I need to remember to upstream. Let's go back to our bullets. Linear velocity. All right, let's make that a lot more. Let's make that 50. See what happens then. Actually, that can now be full screen again. There we go. Hey, stop doing it. Okay. Okay, so that's not recoil. That is the bullet hitting the gun. So obviously we're making it move the wrong way. Okay, but I am just gonna go and drop it there, and I'm gonna go here, and now I should be able to do this. Okay. Let's first see if this is just simply going the wrong way. Okay. Live editing, guys. Oh. Okay. No, that's still going the wrong way. Okay. I'm also, just to make my life a little bit better. Oh, forget. Press button. Okay, let's also go into our pistol scene. Let's go to our spawn point. Let's move this a little bit more forward. Make sure that we have a little bit of space before that hits or doesn't hit. That's still weird because that's a spawn point. So our, hold on, is that, no, it's not turned. Oh, I'm an idiot. I am such an idiot. Yeah. So the problem is that is a direction in global space, and obviously, really, why? Stop doing that. Sorry, guys. It was just switching out of the mode that I wanted. So what I can do instead is I can make a ready function here. And I can say linear velocity is global basis times initial speed. And then we need to define that initial speed. And that's going to be a problem because seeing that doesn't exist, I am going to need to restart, I think, because else it's not going to have a value. Let's make it 10 meters per second. Oh, and it has immediately set that up. Okay. I have no idea if this will actually immediately work. It's worth a try. Well, I can see, you guys can't see it because it's too small. Or maybe, oops, what? What now? Still doesn't like that, does it? So, what's the name? Invalid access to property or key freed object. That's because the I also need to check if that one is still valid. Okay. And is instance valid? All right. Let's try this again. So yeah, we are getting situations where things are being freed. And in this case, the bullets are probably getting highlighted because, you know, I can pick up all rigid bodies, including the bullets. And obviously, after a little bit of time, I'm shooting a camera, so that's pretty cool. Yeah, I can still see that the bullet that just hit the floor was highlighted. And obviously, this is still not working. Oh, let me guess. I also need to... Hold on. In this case, we're going to come in with nodes. I'm pretty sure that is actually good. I need to do that, but I think I need to check that one instead. Anyway, point is, our bullets are getting spawned. They are not fast enough, but they are fast enough for our demo purposes today. Our bullets are getting highlighted, and that's screwing up when they are destroyed because of the lifetime thing. Although I would expect them to be far enough away to no longer be highlighted, but hey, it's all new. There's probably a bug in there somewhere, which is fine. All right, so yeah, I am happy. Let's go back to our pistol, to our can shoot, because the last thing we now need to do is we need to apply a force to our gun every time that we shoot to make it recoil. So we're actually going to steal this one because it's going to be very similar to the apply force that we have here. The difference is going to be that now we want just our normal global basis .z in the correct direction. This actually needs to be in that direction because the slider goes that way, but we actually want the gun to go... Oh no, that does need to be because it's the same as the slider is counter force, so that's fine. We don't have a factor in this case, but we're going to call this a recoil force. And when we look at our slider force, I think our recoil force can be a lot less. So let's just see what happens when we set it to 10. Because remember, this 500, well, that needed to be a little bit on the low side, but it's distance determined, and the distance is very short. So a force of 10, that's probably going to be a relatively big jolt. Although one thing that I'm wondering here is, here we probably want to actually do an impulse, because that's a one-time thing. Impulse, yeah. So now we need to know where do we need to do that. So, oops, that's the wrong one. Yep, that was the wrong one. This one needs to become impulse. Impulse. So in the direction, recoil force, we'll tweak that. It's probably going to be too little. Now we want to do the recoil force basically from our bullet spawn point. And again, just like the other time, in global space, but relative to the pistol. So, yeah. Still think that's a weird thing, but it is the way that it works. Okay, so now we just need to tweak what a good recoil force is. Boom, ba-dum, 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 ba-dum. Okay. Oh, that's pretty decent. Yeah. Oh my. Yeah, there's definitely a problem with the highlight thing, because most of my bullets remain highlighted. That's just hilarious. Anyway, yeah. Recoil, Sabrina. That's how simple we do a recoil. Now, I'm thinking about putting the damping up on this a little bit more so that it's not so bubbly. And that probably then means that we need to put the recoil thing a little bit more. The other thing which is really cool, which is really, really cool. I don't know if you guys can see this because it's going very fast. But because the slider is on a spring now, the recoil is enough to make the slider actually load the next bullet. So if I actually make the reload of the bullet automatically react to the slider moving all the way back, then our recoil is actually also going to trigger a reload of a gun. That is, yeah. Pretty good. Now the other thing is, you might notice whenever I put the gun to my head, I'm actually pushing myself back. There is an exception that I've made when you pick up an object, that the object no longer hits my body. So the bottom of my gun doesn't have a problem when I put that against my collision shape. But if I turn it around, I can push myself back. And that's because the slide isn't part of the exceptions. It's a separate object. It should not allow me to move back, and this is again a problem with our character being a character body 3D. And I'm starting to think that it might make a lot more sense if the player body is also if the player body is also a rigid body, but not sure about that yet. Yeah. Actually, if I shake it well, I can see the slider move. So yeah, maybe 500 is slightly too low for the slider strength. Excuse me. Even though now that I do the counter force, that might actually be okay to crank it up a little bit more. It's past 1 a.m., guys. I think that is where I am going to leave it for tonight. But that is by far, so far, the coolest gun implementation I've done. There's lots of rough edges that I need to clean up. But the fact that everything on the gun is completely working on the physics system, and I need to get those prints out of there as well, by the way. Yeah, that is completely working on the physics system, and there's no real trickery going on in the sense of, with the I don't know if anybody here has followed my video on doing this gun, but then with Extra Tools 1, and to get the slide to work is a lot of code that is all working around the pickup points and the making it do all sorts of weird stuff. And here it is just forces on the pistol, and it just does what it needs to do. So yeah, I might pick this up later, might do a stream again next week or something to see if we can bring this a little bit further. I would like to add some sounds to the gun. Obviously, we need a reload mechanism so that we can actually put a magazine in there. We don't have snap zones and stuff yet in Extra Tools 2, so that might actually be a nice thing to do on the stream to see if we can build something like that. Extra Tools 1 is available. Extra Tools 2 is currently still closed. because there's just not enough in there yet that I feel comfortable making it public, because it's very likely that a lot of things are going to change before it goes public. But I'm actually thinking about going public with extra tools 2 fairly quickly, because it is starting to get to a point where it has all the standard stuff. I don't know, Zimcon. Definitely for the way that I'm doing it here, probably not, because it's quite different from before. I'm pretty sure someone did a gun template for Extra Tools 1, because there's lots of people doing fun stuff with guns. So yeah, it's getting pretty close to what I want it to be. Oh yeah, it's don't worry. I'm not gonna keep it closed for much longer. It's I just wanted to get a couple of the basics really working in a way that that it doesn't fall over on people. Like, you know, even the stream tonight, we had crashes and stuff like that, which is, you know, most of this hand logic that I just showed off is all being built in the last week or two. So it's really, really, really new. That said, considering how new it is, I am really happy of how well it worked. So is it better to save the left pickup node in a variable? Is percent left? There's no difference in performance, because percent actually does that in the background. It's just easier because you don't need to, you know, define a variable. It sort of automatically works for you. The downside of unique nodes or node names, so doing the percent thing on there, is the name needs to be unique. So if you have another scene loaded and happens to have the same node, there is a chance that it's going to get confused, that it now has two things called the same. I don't know how well it shields it, and yeah, I haven't experimented with it enough. 9 out of 10 times I will define my own unready var and just assign it. But sometimes I get lazy, or if I just wanted to do something quick, then I'll do the percentage thing. Yeah, snap zones is definitely something that I want to add in, but I am not sure yet how I'm going to do snap zones. So yeah, that's going to be interesting to see how I'm going to make that work. But again, doing everything with joints and you know, really using the physics. Like, one of the things that could be really interesting is that when you attach something to the snap zone, it creates a joint to match this the snap zone with the thing that's attached to it, so that when you then grab it, you actually pull it out. It has a bit of leeway, and when it detects that you've pulled it far enough, that's when it lets go from the snap zone. There's some interesting little mechanisms that we can do with that. But yeah, I'm definitely planning to make that work very differently. Again, also because when it comes to the objects themselves, I really want things to be non-XR. So this whatever snap zone situation or solution that I come up with will not be a snap zone solution specific to XR. It will be able to snap any rigid body to it. The only thing that will probably be interesting is indeed making it so that if it's close enough, then it snaps to it, and when you pull it away, it lets go again. So need to figure that one out. Yeah, it could be some interesting things. So it's almost like a magnet system. I think could be something that I could make work. Yeah, and that's the thing with I want to be more careful with using area 3Ds. Probably as a detector still, but there was so much logic in XR Tools 1 that required you to build everything the XR Tools 1 way, and I really want to make a system that is much more flexible. But I don't know yet. I haven't thought it through yet. I haven't thought far enough yet. So we'll see. We'll see what it does. All right. I think I am slowly ready for bed. It is 1:15 a.m. here. But yeah, a very fruitful stream. I am very happy with how this all went. So I hope everybody enjoyed it, and thank you all for watching. Hopefully I can do another stream very soon. Oh, also it's been a while since but we need to have like a sandbox playtest level. Yeah, so in extra tools, if you go to the main repo, and you go to the releases, you can even do it for this one. You can actually download a whole demo, and that has all sorts of examples of all the different functions in extra tools. Eventually, I'll make something similar for extra tools 2 as well. So, yeah. Cool stuff. Yeah, Jolt's got some really nice things, so I really need to look at. For all I know, what I want, there's already a solution for it. All right.